Five, four, three, two, one.
I'm from a place where the girls are always looking pretty. You might have heard of us, we call it Shy City. We build champions here who define gritty. We don't do excuses, we don't do pity. Rose is coming back stronger, that's a guarantee. Cutler's coming back too, he's beastly. Throwing it to Marshall, the title's ours easily. Blackhawks are winning titles, trophy looking massive. Don't forget about the Cubs, Sox, Crosstown Classic. With so much greatness, we gotta show bravado. You got your boys Ambro and Mike Mercado.
Welcome into the Chicago Beat, everybody. I'm Mike Mercado. As always, with my best friend, Secret Producer Man. It is Wednesday, May 15, 2013, and an absolute beautiful day here in Chicago, and a sports-filled day here in Chicago. I hope everybody's doing great. I haven't heard from you guys in a while. Hope everybody's doing good. Glad you guys can make us a part of your day. What else to get into? I mean, we have so much to get into today, guys. We have Blackhawks versus Wings, Game 1, second round of the NHL playoffs. You have Bulls versus Heat, Game 5. It's do or die for our beloved Bulls. This team is hurt. Can they pull it off? Can they get another win? Can they surprise the nation like they did the last time they were in Miami for Game 1 when they got a win? You have the Cubs, who had a 4-game winning streak, guys. An actual winning streak ended by the Colorado Rockies last night, 9-4. And the White Sox find a way to get back on the W side with a 4-2 win over the Twins. And actually, the White Sox are on right now, as we speak. They're at the bottom of the second, so we'll keep an eye as we update throughout the show. You can follow us everywhere in the universe. We're on Twitter. We're at the Chicago Beat. We're on Facebook, so like us at the Chicago Beat. You can see all of our great work at the DaChicagoBeat.yolasite.com, and I am so happy to announce that officially myself, Mike Mercado, and Secret Producer Man, along with the show, will now be also being part of FullScaleSports.com. Guys, it is the best up-and-coming website in all of sports. I know I hype up the Chicago Beat for the Chicago theme, but if you're looking for the best sports insight from some of the best young talent around, that's FullScaleSports.com. We have so much to get into today, guys. I'm so excited here on the Chicago Beat.
I'm waking up to ash and dust. I wipe my brow and I sweat my rust. I'm breathing in the chemicals.
Summertime means it's time for changing, so visit beonair.com or dial 630-916-1700 and schedule an appointment today to visit the Illinois Center for Broadcasting. Obviously, guys, if you're listening to me, you love sports. And if you want to make this a career, visit one of the two beautiful campus locations, one in downtown Chicago right on State Street, or one in the suburbs in Lombard for your convenience. Guys, the Illinois Center for Broadcasting has instructors who are still part of the field, so they have hands-on experience of what to help you get you to the point and where you want to in your career. So visit beonair.com or dial 630-916-1700 and schedule an appointment today. So Game 5 tonight in Miami, 6 p.m. on TNT. You have the Bulls versus the Heat. At this point, we've seen it all when it comes to the Bulls. They're hurt. They're battered. They're bruised. They've been through ups and downs. We've seen them in triple overtime wins. We've seen them get blown out in this playoffs. You really don't know what to expect when it comes to the final scoreboard. But what you do know is you're going to have a team that's going to give everything that they have. But we're seeing it, and we saw it 2 nights ago. The shots are short. They're not getting the loose balls, the 50-50 balls. They're letting men pass by them, and that's just, they're playing a 7-man rotation. You have Rip Hamilton coming out of the bench after not playing in, all season basically, what it feels like, all playoffs at least. You have Luol Deng suffering from the spinal tap, and people actually thought he was going to come back. I don't know if anybody's ever gotten a spinal tap, but one of the first, I guess you could say, conditions that comes with it is you get really sick. You get sick really easily. You have headaches. You almost are at the point where you're going to throw up anytime you have a lot of movement. And it's a serious procedure. I mean, it's a spinal tap, guys. It was wishful thinking to think he was going to come back. Kirk Heinrich, it has to be more than a bruised calf. You don't miss this many games with a bruised calf. And I told you guys a while ago, you see it on Twitter. Me and Secret Producer Man have been talking about it for a while. It has to be a tear in his calf. It's the only reason he's not playing. And that's unfortunate because you can see the difference with this Bulls team when Kirk Heinrich is leading the charge. Carlos Boozer, for example, who I've been very positive about this whole season, has not shown up in this playoffs. He averages a double-double, 17 points against Brooklyn. Again, they needed him for that. They needed Carlos for that to get out of the first round. But the time you needed to play Miami, he struggles because they give him problems. Chris Bosh has the height. But when you're going against Shane Battier like he has, you should not be leaning backwards and doing fadeaway shots, which he does. And he's accepted that that's his role now as a player, which shouldn't be the case with Carlos Boozer. Because when you just act like a 6'9", fadeaway power forward, you're not going to win many games in the National Basketball Association when you're the lead, where you're the team's main producer on offense. And that's just facts with Carlos Boozer. You know, it's fact when you have to say that he only performs well with certain point guards. He doesn't play well with Derrick Rose. Fact is, Derrick Rose is the best player on this team. He's the point guard of this team, or will be when he comes back. Nate Robinson was the only offense on this team. Carlos Boozer cannot adapt to it. That's his fault. He needed to. The Bulls needed Nate Robinson throughout this whole season to get him out of post, to give him some offensive punch. You can't rely on Kirk Heinrich. You can't. And that's what the season has become, is relying on a lot of people. I mean, we've seen the digression of Taj Gibson. A lot of it was based off Omer Sheik getting rid of him, and we thought Taj Gibson, or at least Bulls management, thought that Taj Gibson was going to be this big super stud. Now, he's a good player, but who would you rather have right now? Especially looking back at what's happened with Joakim, with his plantar fasciitis. You're telling me you couldn't have found a way to make it work with Omer Sheik? That's something that we're starting to see at this point against this Miami team. What's really bite them in the back has been that move. And what happens if they lose tonight, though? I mean, do you want to see them out of their misery? I mean, I'm right here on, you can follow us on Twitter at DaChicagoBeat. You can follow me personally at mmercado2333. And, right here, one from Christy. That's her name, at Christy. I hope the Bulls lose tonight. Get them out of their misery. This is garbage. Now, I agree, it's been rough basketball to watch. Absolutely. You have to be crazy. You have to be a real big homer to believe that this has been good basketball to watch, other than Game 1 and maybe Game 2. Excuse me, Game 3. Game 2, they got blown out. What do you want to watch? You want to watch Cubs baseball? You want to watch White Sox baseball? You want to watch Bears preseason stuff? OTAs? Thank God for the Blackhawks, who we're going to get into it later about their playoff push. But my Lord, you want to see Bulls basketball end? Why? Because we can't beat the Miami Heat. They're the defending champions. They're the best team in the world of basketball today. The fact that the Bulls have hung in for as long as they have, you should be proud of this team. You should not want them to get out of their misery. I understand you want to see this team get healthy. They're not going to get any more healthier any faster. Wasn't it just last year where this team was eliminated in the first round? You're telling me you want your team out of the playoffs as soon as possible? Makes no sense. I understand they're not going to win the series. They could steal a game. They could find a way. Teams do that in sports. Now, I've been right on the dot for every one of these games. It's played out very easily. You could and you don't have to be a sports broadcaster. You don't have to be a genius to kind of see how the series was going to play out. But to say that you want them to be out of the misery, that's not right. That's not a great stand to take as a sports fan, as a fan of a certain team. You don't want that. You want to root your team on as much as possible. You could be disappointed in Derek. You could be disappointed that Carlos Boozer hasn't showed up. But you have to be proud to see some of these players play the way they are. And you have to want to see them. You want to see them succeed. And every playoff game is another way to succeed. And like I said, we've seen Dwayne Wade hurt. We've seen that the Bulls have actually done a good job against Miami. They just can't make shots. So what if all of a sudden the Bulls get hot? Dwayne Wade gets hurt. You still want the Bulls to be put out of their misery? You got to play it a game at a time, guys. Even if it's very difficult. And with the playoffs, nothing's guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. We've seen it so much. We've seen it with just the point guards in this league that injuries can change anything. It changed the fortunes of this Bulls teams for as long as we know. And Miami is one injury away from doing the same thing. We've seen OKC go through a big transformation without Russell Westbrook. You have to be patient with a lot of these things. You have to be willing to take a punch in the face every once in a while. If you're going to become a champion, you have to go through tribulation. Just ask Michael Jordan, all the years that he had to go through the bad boys and, get out of the Eastern Conference. You got to go through these. It's a growing process. And the interesting thing is, if the season ends, what's the future plans for this Bulls team? And that's where I'm leaving with you guys. I'm going to leave this segment with this. I want you guys to get back at me and tell me, what do you think the Bulls are going to do? Tweet me at the Chicago Beat or comment us on Facebook at the Chicago Beat. What moves will the Bulls have to do to become more competitive in the 2013-2014 NBA season? Add me to see Carlos Boozer, trade Luol Deng, trade Joakim Noah, trade the Mirotic pick, trade the Charlotte pick. What do you think they're going to do? Because we've seen this Bulls team as it is for the last 3 seasons not been able to get the job done. They've sniffed it. They've come close. But it's all about winning the championship. And you can only win the championship that's in front of you. So I don't want to hear about the 2016, 2014, 2015. This season and next season. I want to know what they're going to do. And I want to know what you think the Bulls are going to do. Because this last time I checked, we're from Chicago. We're from a championship city where Michael Jordan won 6 NBA titles. Where we're still living off the 1985 Bears. We have gold standards, quote unquote, for sports here. So I don't want to hear this nonsense of, well, we're going to wait. We're going to wait. What are they going to do next year? Are they going to be better next year? Because Miami isn't getting any better, but they're not going anywhere either. We got Blackhawks talk next year on the Chicago Beat.
Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a draw. Some nights I wish that my lips could build a castle. Some nights I wish they just fall off. But I still wake up, I still see your gospel. Lord, I'm still not sure what I stand for. Oh, what do I stand for? What do I stand for? Most nights I don't know anymore.
Wow, secret producer man today coming in with the hard music, huh? Not bad. There you go, about time you do some work around here, huh? Jeez Louise. The Chicago Beat is brought to you by Inflight Express. For your quickest and easiest way to get your shipping needs done, visit inflightexpress.com. So the Blackhawks and the Wings renew a rivalry tonight for the last time as conference rivals in the second round of the NHL playoffs. This is great. I mean, this is destiny, guys. How excited can you be for something like this? I mean, this is huge, and it's a great sports night for us. We have for their lives, and then we have the Blackhawks continuing their chance to win a Stanley Cup. And not just that, both teams are against rivals. You know, it's been a crazy couple of weeks of playoff sports here in the city of Chicago. And now you're bringing Detroit into the mix of this. Anaheim is out. I mean, it's starting to really shape up for the Blackhawks to end up playing the Kings or San Jose to get to the Stanley Cup. It's been a great NHL playoffs. I mean, you had Boston beating Toronto after being down 4-1 in a Game 7. Hockey's awesome. Playoffs are awesome in general. But here's where I want to, we're going to break down this Blackhawks versus Wings series. So just so you have a quick idea, right now in the playoffs, you have Zetterberg for Detroit leading with points with 8, and for the Blackhawks is Patrick Sharp. You have Franzen for Detroit with 3 goals, Patrick Sharp with 5, and with assists you had Datsuk. Is that how you pronounce it? My Red Wings fans, please send me tweet us or let us know how to say this. And Patrick Kane both with 5 assists. So they're pretty evenly matched at this point right now. And you had Detroit who goes into the series after going 7 games with Anaheim, who gave the Blackhawks a lot of trouble. So that's something to keep in mind as I go through these numbers. If you're looking for a goalie breakdown, you have Jimmy Howard for Detroit, who has played 7 games, went 4-7, averaged about 2.7 goals, had no shutouts, but had a 90.911 save percentage. Now, Corey Crawford's been awesome. Been absolutely awesome. In 5 games played, they're 4-1, has only allowed 1.3 goals a game, has 1 shutout, a 9.95 save percentage. Corey Crawford, I mean, it's amazing how 2 weeks before the playoffs started, we were talking about the uncertainty of Ray Emery. And if he's hurt, what does that mean for Corey Crawford? And the fact is, Crawford has stepped up. And we all said in the NHL, you don't have to be the best goalie. You have to have the hottest goalie going into the playoffs. And that's what they have right now. Both teams actually really do. And then the head-to-head matchup. This is what kind of scares me as a sports fan in general. In the 4 meetings between the Detroit Red Wings and the Chicago Blackhawks, on April 12th, you had the Blackhawks win 3-2. On March 31st, you had the Blackhawks win 7-1. On March 3rd, the Blackhawks won 2-1. On January 27th, the Blackhawks won 2-1. So other than a Sunday night butt kicking by the Chicago Blackhawks, it's been close games. And here's the thing. The Blackhawks and the Red Wings aren't going to try to out-hit each other. They're going to try to outskate each other. So who does that favor? That favors the Blackhawks, right? But what if they try to change their game? If they try to become the more physical team, they're going to get out of their element. That's what Detroit's looking for. So this is not a physical series by any means. It's going to be a skills-orientated series, which is great for the sport. But it's a little different from 15 years ago when a lot of original Blackhawk fans were watching games between the Red Wings and the Blackhawks. That's not what the series is going to be. It's going to be whose superstars are going to step up for each team. The Blackhawks could go ahead and lose this series, guys. I don't want anybody thinking the way the Blackhawks played against Minnesota is the same way it's going to be against Detroit. Minnesota is a team trying to find themselves. Detroit's a team trying to survive and get one more out of them. And that's the difference. That's the biggest difference in this second round. And the pressure just amounts to more. You're in the second round now. You're one step closer. You're the best team in NHL. You're the best team in all of sports for the longest time. You have to win. And not just that, now you're playing your rival. And it's amazing that both Chicago teams have had to play their ultimate rival in the second round of the playoffs. Not even to get to the finals, but to get to the conference finals alone. The Blackhawks have a lot of work still to do. And there's no guarantee with this team. You know, we've seen Jonathan Toews didn't have a huge series against Minnesota. Marian Hossa had a good series against Minnesota. Obviously, Patrick Kane was around the puck a lot. But they could play a lot better, guys. And we've seen it. There was a lot of sloppy play between the Wild and the Blackhawks. The Blackhawks got very lucky that they were just so much better than Minnesota. And as long as the third and fourth line continue to be the difference for the Blackhawks, they're going to win a lot of games. But this Red Wings team cannot be slept on. Which to me, you see it, right here on Twitter. I have one right here. At Blackhawks fan 22. Glad to be playing Detroit. Sweep, here we come. That's tough, guys. That's tough. I'm not, it could be a sweep for all we know. But would you put money down on it? Would you put money down right now that the Blackhawks are going to sweep Detroit? I wouldn't. I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win tonight. I think tonight they're going to win 3-1. This is going to be a good game. I think you're going to see Marian Hossa get a goal. I think you're going to see Patrick Sharp, and I think you're going to see Frolik all with a goal. I think Patrick Kane's going to get his stick on a bunch of pucks. I think Jonathan Toews is. I think it's going to be a physical game, but I think that at the end of the day, by the end of the series, the Blackhawks are going to win in about 6 games. I think it's going to go 4-2 Blackhawks. And I think it's going to be a physical but a very skilled-oriented matchup. And that's great for hockey. And that's great for the city because the city definitely can use a champion, that's for sure. We got baseball talk next here on the Chicago Beat. The Chicago Beat is brought to you by DaChicagoBeat.yolasite.com for the best info on sports, entertainment, news, weather. Doesn't matter, whatever it is, Chicago-based, we got it on the DaChicagoBeat.yolasite.com, and of course the best up-and-coming sports website, FullScaleSports.com. So here in Chicago, it's been a little bit of a rough point for baseball teams here. We've had the Chicago Bulls and the Blackhawks, and as always, the Bears, kind of taking over the news during the summer for these playoff teams. But quietly, or not so quietly, however, how into it you are, Anthony Rizzo for the Chicago Cubs signs a 7-year, $41 million deal. It's a hell of a deal. The guy has not even played a full season with the Cubs, but it's a good deal in one perspective. If he ends up being a solid, not a great, not a Hall of Famer, not an All-Star, but a solid first baseman that will be on your team for 7 years, $41 million is a steal. And go ahead and just add some of these other teams who have signed guys like Albert Pujols, Prince Fielder, Adrian Gonzalez to these crazy max deals for stuff that they have done, opposed to stuff that they will do. And I think that's what this deal was right now. You're paying him for things that he will do at a young age. You're not paying a 40-year-old first baseman. You're paying a 23-year-old first baseman. It's a big difference. And you're hearing a lot of people, Dan McNeil, you're hearing guys on ESPN radio. Yeah, it looks like a lot. 7 years, $41 million. And it could bump up to $70 million if he wins an MVP and he does certain incentives. That's fine. That's a hell of a deal. And it got me thinking, and it made me want to ask you guys, and this is the Chicago Beat question of the day. Tweet us at the Chicago Beat or comment us on Facebook. Who is the most sought-after, most talented young player in Chicago baseball today? Is it Chris Sale? Is it Jeff Samardzija? Is it Alexi Ramirez, Gordon Beckham? Is it Anthony Rizzo? Is it Starlin Castro? Is it somebody in the minor leagues? Or is it somebody we're not thinking of? Because we've seen that this baseball season is going to be kind of rough. Both teams should be a lot better than they are. But bad defense, bad bullpens, and times where the offense just struggles has killed this team. But the future looks bright for a lot of certain players in the city. Not World Series bright yet, but it's looking good. And that's something that we want to know from you guys. Who is it, if you're a White Sox fan or if you're a Cub fan, who is it that you see as the next big superstar in the city of Chicago? We're going to answer your questions. We're going to show them. We're going to tweet them out. We're going to retweet them. We're going to say it all because we love you guys that much and we want you to be part of the show. So don't forget, tweet us at the Chicago Beat or at mmercado2333. or comment us on Facebook at the Chicago Beat and tell us who is the most exciting young player in baseball in Chicago today. Tell us your opinion. Chris Sale, Jeff Samardzija, Anthony Rizzo, Gordon Beckham, Darren Ward, whoever it is. Let us know. We wrap up shop next here on the Chicago Beat.
A Monday warrior, mean stride. Today's Tom Sawyer, mean pride.
I hope everybody's enjoying this beautiful Wednesday. I mean, it is gorgeous outside, 88 degrees. The sun is shining. People outside playing sports. Women in sundresses. Everybody with a smile. This is what we live for, Secret Producer Man. This is why we go through those Chicago winters. If you're wondering, you have the Cubs playing today, 7:05 against the Colorado Rockies to try to finish off that series. They got the New York Mets on Friday, May 17th at 1:20 p.m. Central. You have the White Sox right now who are still tied up with the Minnesota Twins at Minnesota. Keep an eye on that through our Twitter feed. We'll keep you updated if you can't watch the game. And then on Thursday, they have the Anaheim Angels, the overrated Anaheim Angels. That's a 9:05 p.m. Central Time at Anaheim. And then, of course, the two big games tonight, Bulls versus Heat Game 5. Just to wrap that up, I think the Bulls don't have enough to pull this one out. I want to sit here. I want to say that they're going to win, that they're going to put that gutty effort and win a 4-point game at the end and try to shock the world and just take one more, bring it back to Chicago. But it just kind of feels like the time is up. There's no more gas in the tank, and there's nothing wrong with that. Bulls fans, Bulls players, anybody part of that organization should keep their head held up high. And then Game 1, the rivalry renews. The last time, Blackhawks, Red Wings. Going to be a great one. Like I said, 3-1 Blackhawks, in my opinion. I think they're going to win this series 4-2. I think they're on their way to play the San Jose Sharks in the Western Conference Finals. Both games on national television, so be watching. Follow us at the Chicago Beat. Follow us at mmercado2333. Comment us on Facebook. Like us on Facebook at the Chicago Beat, at Full Scale Sports. And keep up with us while we watch these same games with you. I hope everybody enjoys the games. I hope everybody enjoys this weather. Thank you so much for listening. For Secret Producer Man, I'm Mike Mercado saying goodbye. Till next time. Have a good one, guys.